I'm just making sure my stream's working. Right, I have to make sure it's working. Make sure my audio is not breaking up as well. I'm just making sure my streams work. Right, it seems to be right. Those of you who have been following all my streams to do with M5, oh shit, I can't even say it. M5A78L-M computer retro build, rebuild, whatever, new computer. They'll know about all the frustrations. I basically had a lot of bad luck. So the first M5A78L-M computer build, retro build, that I built a few weeks ago, the first motherboard I got off eBay was DOA. It was dead on arrival. So I'm going to give you a summary of everything that's happened so far. So the first motherboard I ordered, it arrived here with a bent D-sub video socket. It looked like it was in a car crash. I sent that one back. It wouldn't boot at all, and obviously people were thinking, oh, maybe the memory's bad, maybe, you know, maybe you did something wrong. That's natural to think all that, right? But I knew I hadn't, because I built a computer before. My other computer, my main computer, which I'm live streaming on right now, I built that myself, brand new, out of the box, 15 years ago. And it's given me no trouble whatsoever, apart from recently, when it started to act a little bit strange, and sometimes it wouldn't boot, and I'm starting to think now that it's to do with just some dirt on the graphics card pins, and it just wants to clean. So, but it's still working, my original computer. So anyway, going back to the rebuild, the D-sub socket on the first motherboard I got off eBay was all bent up, and I sent it back and I got a refund, right? Then I found another motherboard on eBay. Obviously, every time you order something from eBay, it's a gamble. You don't know if you're going to get something that's been damaged by static, or you don't know if it's been in a car crash, whatever. I was really impressed with the quality of the second M5A78L-M motherboard which arrived, and all the sockets were nice and snug, there was no sloppiness, and I did the same procedure with that one. I tested it, put it on the bench, on the table, and bench test it. Well, basically plugged the power supply in, put the memory module in, did everything I did with the first motherboard, which failed, which was DOA, which I sent back. Did everything the same on this one, and guess what? It worked. It was fine. So there was nothing wrong with my memory, there was nothing wrong with any of my hardware, the graphics card's fine, it was all working great. So I thought, brilliant, I've got a winner. So I assembled the computer. I put it all together and I put the hard drives in, and I used my Linux bootable SSD drive, which was a clone, and from the other computer, which is exactly the same hardware, same memory configuration, same memory type, everything was the same, apart from the fact that my main machine, my original machine, has a few extra things plugged into it, you know, like game port, USB joystick, and a few other bits and bobs. But the new build had virtually nothing apart from the keyboard, USB stick, USB, you know, for the keyboard and mouse, and also the Wi-Fi dongle was connected to it. And I did, I think it was 2 or 3 live streams on it, on that machine. And I also encoded 3 videos on it. I encoded 3 videos using Kids Live. No, what was it? Oh, damn it, I can't think now. What was it? Kids Live, was it? Yeah, that was right. So I'm getting old and I forget things. So I encoded 3 videos on it. There was no problems, there was no alerts popping up, there was no overheating problems, apart from my module. I had it set quite low, so it was setting off quite early, so I changed the settings on that. So this new build was working great. I had no problems with it, but then I wanted to do something on the other computer, my main. This is about 2 weeks, by the way. I think it was into the first, maybe the first week or the second week. I'm not sure exactly now. But I wanted to do something on the main computer, so I paused a video. I had Second Life running on the new build machine. Second Life was running in the background, minimized, and I had YouTube open on a video which I was watching to test it out, and it was on pause mode. And then all of a sudden I started hearing a clicking sound, and the temperatures were cold. I mean, everything was cold on it, and it died. The motherboard just died, and I had absolutely no idea what happened. And the only speculation I came to later on was it might be that there was something on the SSD drive, because the drive that I cloned the other operating system onto had something in the boot sector. It had some sort of a boot menu in there which might not have been a Linux or a Windows compatible boot menu. I don't know. It could have had a virus in it, because even Linux can be affected by malware or viruses at boot time, because it uses a standard FAT32 partition for the initial boot sequence, and then it moves over to the Linux partition once it's booted. So I came to a conclusion later on that it may have been some sort of malware, but that still doesn't explain it, because whatever happened to it was physical damage, because even after taking the drive out and resetting the BIOS and basically trying, you know, swapping the memory out again, putting the original memory back in, which we worked on before, and doing a bunch of things, taking the graphics card out and trying to boot from the actual onboard graphics. I did everything, and it was still dead. It was dead. And then I came across an article on the internet that said that sometimes the BIOS chip can have corrosion on the pins, and it can cause problems with booting. So I removed the BIOS chip, I had some issues with that, but I managed to get back in no problem. So it's still there. Right, so to cut a long story short, I've already invested money in the I bought 2 CPUs now for this thing, because I had to buy another CPU, because I thought, well, maybe the CPU's dead. So I got another CPU, so I've now got 2 CPUs. And I put the other CPU in, hoping that it would just be that, but it wasn't. It's still dead. So it's the motherboard. So I've invested quite a bit of money in this, and I'm struggling right now. So if anyone wants to help out and send me a donation, there's a link in the description, right? Just, it would really help me, because, I mean, this is becoming a freaking nightmare, right? I don't normally ask anyone to donate, but it would really help. And I've got to get another motherboard now, because I can't fix this one, because I haven't a clue what the hell happened to it. Once I take it out the case, maybe I can probe and see if I can find a short circuit capacitor, or maybe I can find something. Maybe I can find, but there was no smoke, no fire, no, there was nothing like that. It just died, basically. So anyway, it's getting harder and harder to actually find these motherboards at a reasonable price on eBay. And things are tight right now. Money is very tight right now. But I was forced to actually go and buy another motherboard. So there's a 3rd motherboard coming. So, and that wasn't cheap. It was £10. It was another 10 quid on top of what I previously paid for this other motherboard, right? So I'm hoping that that one will arrive, and that I'm hoping 3rd time lucky, right? 3rd time lucky, as they say. Let's just hope it's 3rd time lucky, right? Because if this doesn't work this time, I just don't know what to do, really, because I've tried everything, right? So that should be here in a few days. So what the plan of action is to take this computer motherboard out and swap over to another replacement. But before I do that, I'm going to bench test the replacement, obviously. I'm going to bench test it on the table like I did previously, make sure it's good, put the minimum on it, minimum memory on it, see if it'll post into BIOS, do the basic stuff, check to see if there's anything that looks odd. It's coming with its own CPU, by the way, so it looks like I'm going to end up with 3 CPUs, but this particular CPU that's on it is not a 6300, it's only a 4, it's a 4 core anyway. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out if that one's good, because I'll stick with the original CPU it comes with and make sure it's all working before we attempt to put the 6 core in it. And also I need to check the BIOS to make sure that's got a reasonably updated BIOS, because I really need to match it to the same BIOS that I've got on my original system, because I've had no trouble with that particular BIOS. That particular revision number, it's been great on my original computer, so I'll find out anyway when it arrives, but I'm just going to have to protect this step by step very carefully, because I'm not going to be messing about doing this again, because this is what, 3rd time lucky or fail, basically. So we'll just have to see what happens, and I'm not enjoying this one bit right now, because the anxiety levels are through the roof, because it almost feels like the universe has got it in for me right now, you know? When you stub your toe on something, you think, damn, bloody hell, I'm so clumsy, but when you're really careful and you still stub your freaking toe, you think, what the hell? I was being careful as well. And I feel like that, it's like, how the hell, why is this happening, you know? why is all this shit happening to me right now? You know, it's like, oh, you start to get paranoid. You think, oh, Big Brother's got it in for me, or maybe they're sabotaging me, they're sending something down and zapping me. I don't know. You get really paranoid when stuff, bad luck gets like that. You know what I mean? It's like, car crash after car crash. You know what I mean? I don't know. So, yeah, I'm not having any fun right now. So, we're going to hope that, all I can say is hoping this third time lucky anyway. I don't know what else to say. And I know a lot of people out there say, well, what are you doing? What you're following? That's an old machine. Are you mad? You know, what are you building such an old crappy old computer for? I explained why before. I have got a cloned Windows XP system on my other machine, and my other machine, I was thinking it was dying because the capacitors on it are old. I get a lot of crackle and noise on my audio because the capacitors on it, my original machine, the one I built 14 years ago, that one is dying slowly. So I need to build another machine which has got the same hardware, because XP will complain if I try to transfer it over to different hardware. It won't work. You can't just go on Windows Update anymore and update all the drivers for Windows XP. It's obsolete. Microsoft will say, sorry, too old. And I've got a whole bunch of tools on there I like to use. You know, there's, I've got my 3D printing for my printer. I've got a bunch of other tools I like to use which are no longer supported. And just, there's a lot of people now who are jumping ship. A lot of people are jumping ship from Windows, from Microsoft, onto Linux, right? There's a guy, I'll try and put a link in the description later on. There's a guy who said, I'm going to try Linux, and oh, why did I wait so long? I'll see if I can find it. Hang on a minute. A lot more people are actually finding Linux much more user-friendly than what, because Windows is getting less and less user-friendly. You used to be able to do a lot of customizations. You could write your own batch files. You could do all sorts of stuff on Windows, right? But nowadays you find less and less freedom, and you're basically paying Microsoft to spy on you. And there's a lot of people now who are saying, I don't like it, I don't like that. So this guy, oh, what is it? Let me just copy this link. I'll stick it in the description, right? Let's see, where are we? Oh, actually I can put it in the chat, can't I? As well, the live stream chat. So I'll put it in the live stream chat. You can watch that later on. This guy, he knows his stuff about computers. I'll put it in the description later on as well. More and more people are finding more freedom and more flexibility on Linux than like the old days. You know, I'm old school, and there's a lot of old school people who used to like to customize their operating systems. They used to like to, you know, tweak things, and you know, it's like having a car that you want to tweak and soup up. You know, if you can't do all that stuff, and you basically find your hands are more and more tied up, and because the corporations are saying, hands off, you can't touch that. Oh, hands off, no, you're not allowed to touch that. when you get into that situation, you think, why is my bloody operating system? And the Microsoft saying, no, it's not your operating system, you're just a user. And that's basically where we're heading, you know, it's getting bad. So I like my old retro computer. I like the way it used to be, the way it was more freedom and less constraints, you know. Most of the time Windows is doing stuff in the background which has got nothing to do with what you're doing. It's basically gathering telemetry data about your activities, it's selling your information out, and you're paying the electric bill for that information to go out. That's not right, you know. So some of your CPU time is being designated for doing stuff which you don't want it to do, which you can't even turn off. You know, which is a lot of people getting really irate and frustrated about that. This is not right. It's like somebody's a free rider, what's the word, freeloader. You got freeloaders on your back when you're running Microsoft. You got people who are using your system to do stuff that you don't want them to do. That's what's happening, and that's why Windows is so slow, because it's doing a lot of stuff that you don't even need. I mean, from the 1990s, we spent, a lot of people in my age group, we spent weeks, months, years trying to get rid of freaking spyware and malware, and, you know, installing all this, you know, clean sweep, and, yeah, do you remember clean sweep? And Spybot Search and Destroy, to get rid of all that spyware and that malware off your computer. You had to install all this stuff just to get rid of it all, and now Microsoft's built it in. It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, didn't you get the memo? We don't want this, no. Have you been paying attention? We don't want spyware on our computers. Microsoft's not listening. We'll do whatever we want. Yeah, so that's why people are jumping ship. That's why people are jumping over to Linux right now. And that's why I want Linux to run on this old machine, because Linux seems to work great on old computers. Well, it used to do anyway. It should continue to work good on old machines, old hardware, retro hardware. But there might be something that goes on in the background that's trying to sabotage us, you know what I mean? It might not be malware as such. There's a thing called IMEI or something, a code number that you can deactivate a device remotely. I'll tell you a little story. Hang on a minute, wait there. I'll get some, I'll show you something. A few years ago, I'll just cut out. A few years ago, my ex-partner and me, we had this router. We're going back to 1997. The router malfunctioned. It stopped working. So we contacted the company that supplied the router and told them, there's a problem with the router, can you replace it? And they told us, oh sure, no problem, you send it back to us and we'll send out you a new router. Well, at the time I didn't remember the fact that it also came with this thing. This is a Wi-Fi dongle which plugs into that router, and we couldn't find this thing. It got lost, didn't know where it was. So we sent the router back to the company, They sent us another router out, minus that, and this dongle was working. We found it and plugged it in, and the Wi-Fi dongle with this was working fine. It worked for about well, it actually continued working for a few years, but we didn't need it, so it was stuck in a drawer. Anyway, so this sits in the drawer for about 5-6 years. Then one day I found it again. I thought, oh yeah, this was supposed to go back. And it's got this ID number on it, right? It's got this IME number something. Hang on, I can't read it. Let me just tell you. A MAC code or something as well. And so, when I moved to my new location, I plugged this in into my network, and guess what? It was remotely deactivated. It was remotely deactivated. It didn't fail, it was turned off, because we are not supposed to have this anymore, because it's supposed to have gone back with that router. So that's what they can do. They can turn off devices remotely. They can brick them just like that. Just like your phone. You know your phone, if you report your phone as stolen, the company that provides your service can brick your phone just like that. They just type in a number, phone is bricked, no one can use it, it's locked. Because they regard items that are no longer in the possession of a registered owner as either lost or stolen. If an item is lost, it no longer should be out there. Oh no, we'll turn that off, we'll deactivate it. Next time they plug that in, it'll be turned off. Well, this thing is just a brick now, right? But I kept it around because I wanted to explain what happens when you send part of a package back and you forget that one of the things that was supposed to go with it wasn't with it, and then you find it again and you think, oh, and you try it, plug it in, you think, well, it's about 5 years since that thing went back, they're not going to be interested in this now. You think, oh, I've got a free dongle. No, it's a brick. Anyway, so that's what happens. Sometimes things get deactivated, and I was thinking, I wonder if they're doing that to our computers sometimes. I wonder if they can actually shut down our motherboards remotely, just deactivate them, punch in a number. Oh, we don't want all these old hardware on the network. I'll tell you a story. This is going to really get you. I'm going to tell you a story now. When I was working at the hi-fi shop in 1990, what was it? 1992, 1993, 1994. It was around about that time, right? One day we got this representative coming to the shop. He worked for a corporation, and he told the boss of our shop, we want to get rid of all this second-hand stuff off the market because it's impacting our sales, as in brand new products that they sell. We need to get it out of circulation. And he was talking to the owner of the shop. I'm not going to mention his name, but he said, have you got any old second-hand goods that you were planning on repairing or selling? And the owner of the shop where I was working said, oh, we've got a few things upstairs which customers decided not to go ahead with for repairs. And this representative said, oh right, we'll give you blah blah blah, so much remuneration, compensation if you'll let us take it away. So this representative who works for a big multinational hi-fi conglomerate was basically going around hi-fi shops, buying up second-hand goods that were out of circulation at the moment, which they didn't want to be back in circulation. So they would pay the owners of these businesses a certain amount of money just to take them out of circulation, because they were losing millions of pounds a year when people were buying second-hand goods and not buying new products. Anyway, my boss told me, he said, have we got any stuff up here that we can give this guy just to keep him off our back, sort of thing? And I said, well, yeah, we've got these that haven't been looked at yet. We've got this stereo, this cassette player. We've got portable TV there that I haven't had a chance to look at yet. And he said, well, let's just give him all the stuff that's not repairable. I said, oh, right, okay. He said, we'll hang on to the other stuff. And I was laughing a bit. I thought, oh, so you're not going to give him all the stuff, you're just going to give him some of the stuff. And he said, oh yeah, of course. He said, I'm not stupid. So we gave him this guy that wanted to buy or take stuff out of circulation. We gave him a pile of junk basically that was not repairable. And we kept the stuff we could repair. But I was under the instruction, that wasn't my business. I was a repair person there. So the shelves emptied out with all the stuff that we couldn't repair, which was beyond repair really, wasn't economical to repair. And this representative went away happy, took all this junk which we wanted rid of anyway, and we had just the stuff that we wanted to repair. But the guy really wanted all of the stuff that was going to be repaired and back in circulation, you know what I mean? So when you know the lengths that they will go to stop items being back in circulation, when you realise that the conglomerates will pay money just to keep it out of circulation, you realise just what really goes on in the world. You know, you start to see that there is a motive to deactivate devices. There's a motive to out of circulation. Shut down anything that can impact the big giants. Is my voice still working? You realise. I think my voice is still working. Sometimes I was cutting out last time, and I hate it when I talk for ages and I know it didn't work. So, but nowadays it's done. They don't have to go around shops and buy up they don't have to go around these second-hand shops anymore, or these hi-fi shops, buying up stuff that might end up back at the market, because now they found another way. They just punch in an IME number or whatever it is and just deactivate the device, and that's how they do it now. So it happens. I mean, people just think, oh, it broke down, it went wrong, I don't know what happened to it. It was working and it just died, and you don't know why. It happens all the time. People just think it's a normal failure, but it might actually be somebody somewhere has deactivated it because, oh, that's too old, we don't want that on the market, we want them to go out, we need to boost our sales for new products. The only way they can do that is to take the old stuff out of circulation. And how do you do that? You make it so it doesn't work anymore. It's sad, really, but that happens. But most of the time, it is just component failure. Let's not get out of beyond. Let's not get too far out of there. Most of the time, it is just component failure, like capacitor failure. But it does occasionally happen that devices get deactivated. Mostly it's stolen phones, stolen mobiles. When you call it in, say, "Oh, my phone's been nicked," they can shut it down, brick it. That happens. But I just thought it was really interesting because of my background when I used to work at the hi-fi shop back in the 90s. When I saw how far they'll go to get stuff out of circulation. And the other way to do it is to make stuff out redundant, by evolution. Because when newer products come out that supersede an older product, like operating systems, when an operating system gets more advanced and the older operating system can't cope anymore, it gets slower and slower. A lot of people have got phones that just, "Oh, my phone is slow as everything, I'm just going to reset it." Oh yeah, you reset it. "Oh, it's fast again now, great. Update, 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 update," and by the time they finish updating it, "Oh, it's slow again." Why is that? Because something is deliberately slowing down your phone so that you have to go and buy a new one. And that also happens all the time. So your phone gets so laggy, and at some point you just think, "Oh, this phone is useless. I can't do anything on it. It takes for ages just to load this page." So you reset it. It works great for a while, but no, not for long. As soon as you've finished updating it, it's back to the way it was, stuck again, And then you realise that, "Oh, I've got no choice, I've got to buy a new one." So no matter what you do, we are always chasing the newest technology. But that doesn't seem to happen with Linux. It's not bloatware, it runs quite light. So could something else be getting in the way? I'm just thinking. I don't know. I'm speculating, but is it possible that there's something else going on there that doesn't want us to use Linux, because it is competing against Microsoft. So anyway, I don't know. I've got way off topic. So as I was saying, I want to get on building this retro M5A78L-M computer, and this is the last time I'm going to try it. If this doesn't work, I'm going to, third time lucky. If this doesn't work, I think I'll just retire and curl up in a ball and hide in the corner of the room or something and just scribble on my wall and go mad. What else can you do? Because you can't fight the conglomerates. You can try, but they'll just make my life hell, make our lives hell, and that's basically where we're heading if we're not careful. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go because I'm talking myself into a corner here. But if you can help out, I mean, as I say, please help me out because I'm really struggling right now. We're in a right mess here in the UK. I mean, I've spent more money on trying to fix this bloody computer than it would have cost. It's gonna cost me more money, the way things are going, than it would have cost me to buy a new computer. But I don't want a new frigging computer because it'll, guess what it'll be on it? Microsoft, Windows. What, is it Windows 11 now? I don't know. Oh my God, that's going to be a nightmare. And that was that UEFI thing on it. Oh, no, don't want that. Oh, definitely not. No, I want to stick with the old retro stuff. I'm too old. I'm 66 years old, right? Well, will be in a few months. I just don't need it. I don't need all that freaking AI stuff watching over me, and no, I don't want to end up with my consciousness being downloaded into a freaking computer, because that's what this AI is doing. It's gathering all our personality information, recreating us digitally, and one day we're going to meet ourselves in the AI world and I think, oh no, they've cloned me. Oh no. Yeah, it's scary, isn't it?